you do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter. He can punch, and he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger.
I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Davis is a violent human being. He's a savage, and he didn't feel in his element. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. If you're from the hood, you will know.
Boxing experts say Jake Paul has no real chance against Gervonta Davis. Shakur Stevenson explained that even though Jake has a big size advantage, it won't be enough to beat Tank. He believes Tank's skill and experience will completely control the fight. Shakur added that Tank might not go for a knockout since Jake is harder to drop, but he'll outbox him from start to finish and win by decision.
Difference between these two guys.
I mean, size will play some part of the fight, but if I'm thinking like I'm Tank, I'm probably just gonna go out there and try to outbox him and use my knowledge and IQ against him. So I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Is there any way any realistic or legitimate way in your mind you could see Jake Paul winning a fight against Tank?
No.
No way.
Nope.
Not a lot of people have talked about Jake and say he's got good power. Not even and I get anything could technically happen, but you don't even see a realistic shot where he could land one big punch, and Tank being so much smaller, he just can't handle the power.
Nah, not at all. I think Tank is he's been boxing his whole life. He's been boxing since a kid, so I doubt like that's gonna be an issue or problem. I think Jake is good for where he's at, but I think it's just levels.
Do you see a more likely chance that Tank wins by decision or by knockout?
By decision. I mean, that guy's too big. I don't think that he's just going to knock that guy out. So I see him like outboxing him.
Could you see a realistic possibility where Tank could knock him out? Although more likely that it is, like you just said, a decision.
Nah, I don't see him knocking him out, no.
Will you watch, Shakur? I mean,
no.
Obviously, no?
Hell no, nah. That ain't really like... I mean, like I said, here's the thing. Like, I got two sides of me when it comes down to it. I got a business side, then I got a competitor side. And from the competitive aspect, it don't excite me for me to be like, okay, I want to watch.
Showbiz the adult explained that Tank has already proven he can handle taller and bigger opponents like Ryan Garcia. He reminded viewers that Ryan was not only taller but also faster and more explosive. Yet Tank still found his rhythm and beat him clearly. The YouTuber and analyst said that if Tank could close the distance against Ryan, who had real boxing experience, then Jake Paul won't be any different. Jake's size might look like an advantage on paper, but Showbiz emphasized that boxing is about distance control, timing, and ring IQ, areas where Tank truly excels. He added that Tank has mastered reading opponents and setting traps, and once Jake steps into the ring with him, those skills will show fast.
See, when it's all said and done, the whole talking shit goes out the window. Jake's scared. And let me tell you this too. I looked at I'm sizing them up. I'm looking at Tank and Jake, and I'm looking at them. Tank can reach them too. He reached Ryan Garcia. He reached Mario Barrios. I was like, he ain't gonna be able to reach him. He's gonna reach him. I saw Tank's gonna reach him. He knows he's gonna reach him. Listen, I wanna say this too. Funny as hell. Before I say all this, Alicia Baumgartner, shout out to you, girl. I couldn't believe out of all the women to be the first one to do 3-minute, 12 rounds is Alicia Baumgartner. Not really known for having great endurance, great stamina, and she's doing this shit. Shout out to Alicia Baumgartner. Because, what's her name, Layla? I don't really know her like that. But she looks like she ain't rattled by Alicia, so that's a perfect dance partner for that. Trying to drag Alicia Baumgartner into lake water, see what's going on with that. Shout out to Alicia Baumgartner. But let's get back to Tank. First of all, Tank knows what he's doing. Tank Davis, he said, he was just making all these implications that it's going to be scripted. When he said, you're paying me, and then he was like, yo, you're going to have to give me extra, and then he said that this is scripted.
At the end of the day, I gave this little guy an opportunity. He should be thanking me. I'm paying him. I'm his boss. He reports to me, and I'm going to fucking son him on November 14th. So fuck you, little man.
You paying me? Are you paying me?
Yeah.
100%? 100%. Facts?
Correct.
Yes? Correct?
Correct. I'm your daddy.
Chris Algieri praised Gervonta Davis for his ability to draw huge attention every time he fights. He said boxing today is not only about skill, it's also about who can attract fans and bring energy back to the sport. Tank has become the face of that new era, filling arenas and exciting both hardcore boxing fans and casual viewers alike. Algieri also noted that Jake Paul, while not as technically skilled, has helped revive mainstream interest in boxing by bringing in a whole new audience. He believes both fighters, in their own ways, are good for the sport because they capture attention from different types of fans.
Could be Jake Paul soon, and it's
the
face of boxing is basically. Yeah, the face of boxing now is based on if you sell and if people tune in and how many eyes are tuning in when you fight. Gervonta Davis had that. Jake Paul has that. Now they're fighting each other.
Again,
these are created products.
These are still created products. Jake made his name going to Walgreens and making funny faces. You know what I mean? And it was just blowing up on YouTube and whatnot, right? I mean, that's how he started.
The world we live in now, dude. It's unfortunate.
Okay,
it's not like Sugar Ray Leonard, who was the best fighter in the world and marketable. It's not like Oscar De La Hoya, who was a gold medalist, a great fighter and marketable.
But what I'm saying is technology allows us to make, if I want to take this shoe off right here, and I say I want to make my Nike sneaker into the best product possible, and I got enough money to push it behind it. I put it all over your social media platform, and I put it all over your TV set and all over your phone and all over. You know what, bro? You're gonna start to get curious about this.
Charleston White dismissed Jake Paul's boxing career as pure entertainment dressed up as a sport. He argued that none of Jake's fights feel like real professional bouts, calling them staged exhibitions made to earn views and money. According to him, Jake has never faced a true top-level boxer who could test his skill and endurance. Charleston's comments echo what many boxing purists feel, that Jake is using the sport as a marketing platform rather than respecting it as a craft. He believes that if Jake ever steps in the ring with someone like Gervonta Davis, the gap in talent will be clear. Davis's training, reflexes, and experience against elite opponents would expose Jake's lack of depth. For White, popularity and showmanship can't replace real fights, because exhibitions don't create legends. True battles do.
What people say is going on in the media, without a doubt, I think Charleston White is 100% right about that. Don't believe anything you hear. Don't believe anything you see. Wait to see how things play out, and ultimately everything will come out in the wash. Well, going into this fight with Gervonta Davis, I had my concerns about the fight because of the same type of reasoning that Charleston White used, except for mine is slightly different. I don't think that either one of these guys are going to try to do too much damage to each other. Number one, because if it's scripted, which more than likely to an extent it will be, Gervonta Davis is not going to put himself in a situation where Jake Paul is going to actually be able to hurt him. And with these 12-ounce gloves on top of Gervonta Davis's hands, which is bigger, 2 ounces bigger, I do.
Teddy Atlas, one of boxing's most respected analysts, compared the possible Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight to the time Jake's brother Logan faced Floyd Mayweather. He said that while Jake might have a physical advantage, Tank's experience will be the deciding factor. Atlas described Tank as a dancer in the ring, a fighter who controls rhythm, pace, and energy with precision. He noted that Tank has faced dangerous opponents throughout his career and developed the instincts to break down anyone, no matter their size. Jake, in contrast, lacks the sharpness and ring awareness needed to compete at that level. Atlas emphasized that boxing isn't about size or strength, it's about timing, precision, and control. When Tank moves, every step is planned and every punch has purpose.
No, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter, he can punch, and he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? What if he hits him on the chin? It'll wind up selling. And that's what'll wind up selling it. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin, and Jake Paul, we're going to find out if he can dance. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know, do the cha-cha. That's what's going to sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people won't go and everything else. They just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that. It's safer to do that. You don't have to bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that. But I don't care. I've had bows and arrows my whole life. I don't care. But that's true. That what if What if this guy who is a real good puncher, who is one of the best fighters in the world right now, what if he hits him? What if he makes a miss and he counters him?
Showbiz the adult also spoke about Gervonta Davis's personality outside the ring. He admitted that Tank may not be the smoothest talker or businessman, but that's not what makes him dangerous. Tank's confidence comes from his roots, growing up in an environment that demanded toughness, not words. Showbiz explained that Tank's body language during press conferences says everything. He never looks nervous, pressured, or unsure. When he faces his opponents, there's a silent confidence that speaks louder than anything he could say. Showbiz added that while Jake Paul is a master of promotion and media attention, Tank's presence doesn't depend on marketing. It's built on real power and authenticity.
Tank Davis is a violent human being. He's a savage. And he didn't feel in his element. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. If you're from the hood, you will know. It's kind of like taking a guy from the block and putting him in the corporate world in a business meeting. He's going to be so out of his element that he's just, he doesn't even know how to argue without sounding like, I'm gonna whoop your ass, I'm gonna beat you. The way Jake was doing things, he had the clowns coming out.
Not everyone is convinced that Tank can beat Jake Paul. Some analysts remind fans to stay realistic and consider why weight classes exist. They explain that Tank's power and explosiveness are unmatched at lightweight and super featherweight, but taking on a naturally bigger fighter like Jake changes the equation. In boxing, size and physics matter. A 135-pound fighter going up against someone who weighs over 190 pounds faces clear disadvantages in reach, strength, and durability. These analysts believe Tank's punches may not have the same impact on a much larger opponent, and even if he lands clean shots, Jake's heavier frame could handle them differently.
You want to know, who will win in this fight? Jake Paul or Tank Davis? It's a legit question. And I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win. Because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think.
Personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank too little.
I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. That weight class is for a reason.
Davis
that weight class is for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205 pounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Dog.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70 pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. A 135-pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30-pound, 20, 30-pound difference, bro, if you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once.
No.
He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30 pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is going to happen.
Despite the doubts, many fans find Jake Paul's presence in boxing entertaining. His fights spark both criticism and excitement, adding curiosity and energy to the sport. Some purists call it a money grab, but others believe it helps keep boxing in the spotlight. Jake has a rare ability to get people talking, whether they support him or want to see him lose. Every time his name is linked to a fight, it draws attention. Viewers tune in not just for the result, but for the possibility of an upset. That unpredictability brings life back to boxing. Even traditional fans admit that Jake's involvement adds drama and personality the sport has been missing, giving it a spark while he continues to grow as a fighter.
I said, this is bad for boxing, this is bad for boxing. Mate, calm down, calm down. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of him, but he's bringing a lot of eyes to boxing. A lot of eyes to boxing. He's doing great for boxing. I don't care what everyone thinks. The weight difference is mad though. Lightweight to, God knows, cruiserweight or whatever the hell he is. Oi, Gervonta might get thumped up, you know. Hey, if he gets bashed up, I can never go on TikTok live again. The TikTok warriors are going to give me a hard time. They're going to say Jake Paul's undisputed. Oh my God, he's the best thing since sliced bread.
British boxer Dave Allen shared a more balanced view of the potential matchup. He admitted he wasn't a fan of Jake Paul's fights with Mike Tyson or Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., saying they felt more like publicity stunts. However, he believes a fight with Gervonta Davis could be different. Allen said that as long as no one gets seriously hurt, it's fine since it's meant to entertain fans. He acknowledged that while Jake isn't a world-class boxer, his fights get people talking and keep boxing in the public eye. Fans are curious to see how far Jake can go and how Tank manages to deal with a much larger opponent.
In an exhibition. The thing with Jake Paul, I think he's a good area title level fighter, and that's a good level, like, and you can be proud of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's good. But the Mike Tyson fight I didn't like. The Chavez fight was just farcical because he's 10-11 year past his best, up 6 weight divisions. But less of a problem because Chavez wasn't in his 50s. Fighting the MMA guys, again, he's fighting people that don't do the same, they're not even in the same sport. But while they're a bit older, they're still not in the 50s. So all that stuff, I won't really watch any of it. I think I've watched one fight against Tommy Fury, the only professional boxer in and around his prime years, and he got beat. But I think his area title level, I think he works really hard, I think he trains hard, and I don't think he's a bad fighter at all. I don't think he's a good fighter, but he's not a bad fighter. For his experience, he's not bad at all. But Gervonta Davis is a lightweight. So, by all means, if they make a few quid and nobody gets hurt, then great. But I certainly wouldn't be paying a penny to watch it. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous, farcical. Who wants to watch an exhibition? Gervonta Davis is in his prime years. Why is he wasting his time? Why is that having a rematch with the fella he got a draw with? Why is not fighting?
This fight has been building for years. Reports say Gervonta Davis mentioned Jake Paul several times in the past, teasing a possible matchup. Fans have long wondered if it would ever happen, and now those talks are finally turning serious. Both fighters have traded words online, showing real interest in settling things inside the ring. Tank remains confident he can expose Jake's flaws, while Jake sees the fight as his chance to prove he belongs among true boxers.
What I'm saying, Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. I don't buy it for a second, but apparently they were in negotiations to have this fight happen if Tank Davis beat his previous opponent, which obviously ended in a draw. Which means he's obviously going to go and rematch Lamont Roach in his next fight. But come on, Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. Jake Paul is a cruiserweight / heavyweight. Tank Davis is a lightweight. This is Jake Paul's mindset. Okay, I'll fight a legit professional boxer, OAP. I'll fight a legitimate professional boxer who's his age, loses. Okay, I'll fight another professional boxer who's half his weight. Honestly, I don't care how big Jake Paul is, I genuinely do think that Tank Davis would beat Jake Paul. I think Tank Davis would be too fast, too slick, outbox him, move around. He wouldn't knock him out, obviously. I don't think he'd knock him out because of how big Jake Paul is, but he would outbox him 100%. But anyway guys, let me know what you guys think about this potential fight. I really hope it does not happen because Jake Paul needs to fight a legitimate pro who isn't a taxi driver, who isn't old.
The final debate among boxing experts centers on power dynamics. Gervonta Davis is famous for his knockout power at lightweight and super featherweight, but analysts question if that same strength will work against someone Jake Paul's size. Davis's punches can destroy opponents his own weight, but against a much bigger fighter, physics becomes a real obstacle. A shot that drops a 135-pound opponent might barely move someone close to 200 pounds. Jake's size, reach, and durability could limit Tank's offense. This doesn't take away from Tank's skill, it simply means his usual approach may not be as effective in this matchup.
Yes, Floyd didn't have the punching power Gervonta had, but even if Gervonta lands, I don't see him hurting Jake to the point he knocks him out. So what are we even doing? Where's the idea of this where's the idea that Gervonta's even gonna hurt him? He may hurt him to the body, whatever. Jake doesn't want to throw as much, but I don't see him one punch knocking Jake out. And, the same thing was kind of said with Logan. Like, okay, Floyd probably won't knock him out, but probably going to outbox him. I get where Dana's coming from. These things are not meant to be competitive fights. They're meant to make money and to, I guess, scratch that itch of the circus mystery unknown.
And Gervonta, I think, hits way harder than fucking Floyd, but he's too small. I mean, your brother's going to be able to, get inside on him, put his weight on him, tie him up. But I don't hate your brother. Your brother's out there doing his thing. But it cracks me up that they want to start suing people that are talking shit when your brother talks more shit than anybody talks.
I think the thought process behind it is, okay, so Jake and I are obviously pretty polarizing individuals, and when an echo chamber starts and a rumor mill starts of like staged fight bullshit, which like these fights aren't staged, you know, that's just, it's at that level, it's like almost impossible. I think they think that it affects the business and it affects the brand because people discredit him as actually having legitimate bouts. I think that's the theory. So to hold people accountable for
legitimate
perpetuating
meaning,
the rumor.
Legitimate meaning not fixed.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. And
which is, I mean, again, Dana would do the same thing if his company became known for doing fixed fights when they weren't. Then he would try to find the same way to hold people accountable if they were reputable people saying that, right? So again, the whole Jake suing people for blatantly trying to say he fixes fights or he stages fights or people have no knockout clauses and all the other bullshit, I understand. Now, again, people need to use their words more accurately if they're upset about what Jake is doing. All you have to do, if you're upset with the way Jake is moving in his career, is say, what some people do say, which is, we like to see Jake challenge himself. We don't want to see these exhibitions, these fights that don't make sense for what you said you want to do or what you purport to want to be in the sport of boxing, which is a world champion. We want to see you fight active fighters around your skill level. That's it. But you can't go on there and go, oh, look, another rigged fight. Oh, look, another.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates. Until next time, keep watching Boxing Glory. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the channel for more boxing news and analysis.